Crossing the plane of the net is not okay when? Okay, so crossing the plane of the net is not okay when? So what we're talking about is that the plane of the net, right? We have the net posts and we have the net. When you're crossing the plane of the net, you're going on the other side of that line drawn by the net and the net posts. When attempting to hit and missing the ball. So somebody does a false Ernie. Dave Weinbach, great example. He'll jump over that non-volley zone line like he's going to do an Ernie, and the ball doesn't come to him. He's fine as long as he doesn't break the plane of the net or touch the net post while the ball is in play. But if either of those happens, if his paddle, if his hand goes past that plane of the net and he hasn't made contact with the ball, that's a fault. This is why the APP has moved to a 2-referee system where they have the 2 referees, one on either side of the net post, is now really to watch and monitor that situation, because there's a couple of shots at Nationals where Lucy Kornikova was one of them that did that, and she broke the plane of the net without having the ball. It went to her partner, Matt Wright, who made the play, and the referee was busy watching Matt Wright with the ball and his feet at the non-volley zone when her hand broke the plane of the net, and it should have been called. It wasn't caught. Now, is the 2-referee system even going to catch that? Because the 2 referees quite easily could be watching again the player with the ball. So that's again a bit of a training thing where you have to be very cognizant of that and looking for those sort of things before they happen, thinking about them. But it's really hard because your primary responsibility is making sure that that player with the ball doesn't violate the non-volley zone. And so, you know, you've got two primary responsibilities at once. This includes an attempt an Ernie shot, just what we were saying. A foot or a toe extends beneath the net into the opponent's court. How many times have you if somebody's made a short ball, you go running towards the net and into the non-volley zone to get a ball that bounces. You just get there and you just lift that ball over and you arrest your forward momentum, and when you look down, your foot is a ½ an inch under the net onto the people's court. Fault, right? That's a fault. If your clothing, if you touch the net with your hand, with your paddle, definite fault. If a piece of your clothing is loose and that clothing makes contact with the net, fault. Crossing the plane of the net is not a fault. And I'm just going to ignore that one because we'll come back to it. On following through of a legal hit, including Ernies. So, all right. So if you've made contact with the ball when you're doing an Ernie and you continue past the plane of the net, that is legal. You've made contact with the ball and you've, after the fact, broken the plane of the net, we're good to go. When chasing the bounce ball spinning back over the net, yes, players can break the plane of the net prior to hitting the ball for this reason only. So 11I says this exactly, right? So the ball bounces back over. You may reach over the net without touching the ball. So you can break the plane of the net prior to touching the ball on a ball that is bounced back over the net and hit that ball. Okay? Balls with backspin that return back over the net may be hit by reaching over, under, or around the net post. God knows whoever invented why going under the net. I haven't seen that one yet, but that must have happened for them to have put it in the rules that one of these young guys or one young girl was able to have a ball that bounced back over the net. And instead of reaching over the net, they had their wherewithal to put their paddle underneath the net, not touching the other person's court, not touching the net, and allow the ball to hit it and fall off to the side, and now withdraw your paddle without touching the net or the court. Don't know. But it's legal.
Alan, I'm going to ask a stupid question. What's an Ernie?
Okay. I don't know why it's called an Ernie, other than I guess Ernie Yakovich or whatever his name was that first did it. And that is where you jump over the non-volley zone onto the sidelines or towards the sideline or the net post, hitting the ball while it's in the air or after you land. So you're cutting off the corner of the non-volley zone. We'll show you their foot movement on this. We've got a nice little foot demonstration on that one coming up.
Oh, thanks.
And here we go.
Ask, how much more time have you got? Some people might have to leave.
Sorry?
How much more time do you figure? It's after 2. Some people might have to leave.
Yeah, not so much on this one, but then we have line judges that we were going to cover, and we have the amendments for 2020. So if you got to go, you got to go. You don't have to go, do you, Walter?
I'm going to get lunch ordered in.
Did you get pizza for everybody?
Oh, we had that last night. You want some leftover?
As long as there's no anchovies. Okay, going in and back out of the non-volley zone. So it gives us a little foot movement. Foot in and out. So the foot goes in, the foot goes out. You can now hit. As soon as you establish position back into the non-volley zone, you're clear to hit. Foot in, foot on the floor, foot on floor in. So you go in, and if the foot, of course, if you don't have both feet established back in your side of the court and you volley that ball, that right foot, for example, might not be even making contact with the non-volley zone, but it has made contact with the non-volley zone. And now it would be a fault until that person is able to bring that foot back and establish position within that left-hand court, the odd court. That foot needs to come back in and touch that court before they can legally volley the ball. So that's something, again, where the referee has got to be watching that timing and watching that very closely. And you need to think about that. As they're in there playing that, you have to be thinking of it before it happens if you're going to call it. Because you actually have to see it happen and know that it happened before you can make the call. Left foot in the air. So I'm having trouble with that one. I take it the left foot never, that first start over here. So when it first goes in, when it goes in over here in the arrow, then it never made contact. It was in the air only. And now it comes out and is making contact over the non-volley zone line. Well, we all know that would be a fault, right? Going across and through the non-volley zone, this is now to what your Ernie is going to look like. So foot in and out. So this person is transiting through the non-volley zone to do an Ernie, and their foot touches into the non-volley zone, and then they make contact outside of the non-volley zone in the playing surface, and then they make contact with the ball. That is a legal shot. However, just going, whoops, let's go back in that. Do that one again. So that they transit through with their left foot. If they make contact with that ball prior to getting both feet onto the playing surface outside the court, it's a fault. If they make contact after they've established position outside of the court, legal shot. Foot stays in, right? So they go out and they hit a volley. That's a definite and an easy fault call. Jumping across. So they jump across, and as long as the heel or the foot on the left foot there doesn't touch or make contact with any portion of that sideline, then that would be a legal shot. And that person is allowed to hit the ball while they're in the air, jumping over the non-volley zone line, right? We all understand that, right? Because they were in the court. They're in the court legally, making contact in their court. They jump over, not touching the line before or after. They make contact in the air. we have a good shot. That, sir, is an earnie. That's usually what you're going to see as an earnie.
A thing of beauty.
It is to watch and behold. And they usually catch people off guard quite easily. If you're trying to defend an earnie, not a referee thing, but as a player, you want to hit the ball right at that person. Because again, they can't return it until they've established position outside. So if they're in the air, they can't be returning that ball the second time, right? Declare a fault if a player deliberately creates a distraction when an opponent is about to strike the ball. For example, waving the paddle or the arms. When somebody's going to serve, they're standing there right at the front line, making a loud noise or yelling. So you immediately, as a referee, would call fault, distraction. Point, second server, side out. If a player asks, wasn't that a distraction? The referee can rule it a fault after the fact, but only if they determine it affected the outcome of the rally. So if you don't call it immediately and you get queried about it afterwards and you go, oh yeah, they were waving their paddle, weren't they? But because you didn't call it right away and it wasn't necessarily attributing to the loss of the rally, then you would not withhold a fault call on that. You would say no distraction. So, I mean, we get distractions all the time, don't we? Somebody puts the ball up short in the air, very short in the court, and they're going to get smashed at, and they go, ah, like this, and the other player hits it into the net. Was that a distraction?
No.
No.
And we had a lot of silence there. That took forever. And why is that not a distraction?
Self-defense.
Nope, that doesn't cut it. So like it comes down to more the timing.
Wasn't deliberate.
Wasn't deliberate.
Well, it was pretty deliberate. All right, I'm the person that's going to hit this ball down back at them. And just as I'm about to hit it, they go, ah! And, you know, take my attention away. I'm going to ask for a distraction on that. And you as the referee have got to make a determination one way or the other. At the time I was about to hit, was that a distraction and was it deliberate? You have to be able to make a call on that. Yeah. So, you know, and they, just because it's self-defense and yeah, we all do it on the court sometimes, doesn't mean it's not a distraction, right? So again, it's the timing and the situation. And I would more or less go with the distraction on that, the way I've explained it.
A judgment call.
It's a judgment call. And it's a timing issue more than anything, where you're going to be watching that. At what point did the yell come? Did the yell come after the shot, or was it exactly when the person was just about to hit it? And could it have affected their play? And if the answer is yes, it could have affected their play, then you have to award a distraction. Match forfeits. Declare a match forfeit if the player is not ready to play within 10 minutes of when the match is announced, right? So this one happens quite often. First match of the day, or even subsequent matches. 3 players show up at the court. Where's the fourth? Well, he went to the washroom, or he hasn't heard the call. Well, if the local tournament usually gives 5 minutes between the time that of the announcement of the match and to when you're supposed to start the play as the referee, you can't give a match forfeiture, however, until 10 minutes has occurred in accordance with the US APA regulations. Now, if at 10 minutes and 10 seconds that person is running towards the court, I would give a little leeway and allow them to get on there. No warm up, no nothing. And they're right into the game and they're playing. So again, discretion has to be used sensibly. They paid a lot of money these days to enter tournaments, and we don't want to say, yeah, you've just forfeited your first match and you lose one more and you're out. There goes your $160. So you got to be a little bit aware. If during a match a player is discovered to be playing with a paddle that is not approved, right? That's grounds for forfeiture right there. A player or a team receiving one technical warning and one technical foul in a match. There you have it. Forfeit. If an individual player's behavior is detrimental to the tournament, forfeit. Player refuses to wear designated starting server identification band. Refuses. No, I don't want to wear that. Then they're not playing. Simple. They have to have it somewhere that's visible to everyone. Unruly players. That happens from time to time. You must remain calm. Maintain an open mind. What's their issue? Talk to them. Hear them out. Meet the players mid-court and away from spectators. Issue a technical warning or a foul based on the severity of the problem if the player continues to create problems. Now, one of the things that I have pointed out with having a little bit of experience doing this now, I had a situation where one person was completely, unreachable. There was no way he was going to listen to what I was going to say. And, you try to assert yourself and you try to say, listen, I've given you a technical warning. We're going to have a technical foul. And they're not even hearing you. They're just friggin' babbling on. You turn around, don't talk to that person anymore. Turn to their partner and say, you've got 15 seconds to get your partner under control, or I'm going to have to issue a technical foul on top of your technical warning, which would mean you're going to forfeit the match. Okay? So you get them under control. You got 15 seconds. And allow that to do it. You can't always, you can't always assert yourself. So that's just another little tool. And you don't care how the heck it happens, as long as that person is back in position and ready to go within 15 seconds. Hearing impaired players. Now, we've had this happen down south. We had somebody on tour down there that could not hear at all. And we actually had to have a little a score sheet so they could hear the score sheet. But I tried to accommodate best you can. And the person who asked me before, where do you call the score? Usually forward. When I have a hearing impaired person, I'm going to be looking right at them so they can read my lips. And I'm also going to give the signal like 441, 442, and I'm going to be showing the fingers. Sorry, I'm off to the side. And I'm going to be doing that. So they know then, they might not have caught the 4-4, but they would know if I've gone 4-4-1, they know that I've called the score and they're now free to serve. So you just try to accommodate best you can and be sensible about it. Be sensitive and tolerant to players asking to repeat the score. If they need to know that, when you got a hearing impaired, no problem. Look towards impaired players when announcing the score and enunciate extra clearly. And consider using extended fingers for score. Yep, I talked about that. Chair is considered. Okay, wheelchair rules. I have never had to referee a wheelchair game, but they are coming into more tournaments. So you must be prepared and understand what some of the rules are for the wheelchaired players. Balls may be double bounce. Only the large rear wheel will cause a non-volley zone fault when hitting a volley. So the front wheels don't necessitate a fault, but when that rear wheel breaks that line, then that's a fault. That's the foot going over the non-volley zone line.